Hello again. Today I would really like to convince you guys to start reading classic books, philosophical books, books that just really test your way of thinking and force you to kind of reflect on how you perceive different things, if that makes sense. You know, books that will sometimes even make you take notes and kind of go back again and read certain sections to really understand the literature at hand. Let's see here. I just finished Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky, right? This book was very challenging. This book probably took me like a month and a half to finish. It's like 600 pages. And this book taught me patience. This book taught me delayed gratification. But it also taught me this appreciation for the book in itself. It's an extreme slow burn. Like I said, it took me a long time to finish. But I think in that sense, I think a lot of people should read books like this, should read classics, should read older books in general, because, you know, it teaches you this newfound appreciation for these slow books that explore these themes of morality, philosophy, that make you reflect on your life in general, and maybe even help you change the way that you conduct your day-to-day life. And I always think it's kind of funny because, you know, when you think about a book like this and a book series like Red Rising, which is something that I'm reading right now. I just finished the first book. And, you know, I hear people talk about books like that, like books that are extremely engaging. You know, it's one event to the next, super story driven. There's not many like side plots or other shenanigans going on within the story. And I've heard a lot of people talk badly about the first book, that it's like a very weak entry within the series. But I think a lot of that comes from it just being the first entry and building up to what it's going to get into. I just finished the first book, so I don't really know what's going on yet, but I think it goes to show that there's a lot of people that don't have the ability to engage and be as patient with other books like Crime and Punishment. I think people need to be humbled in that sense and read a book like this. The way that this story is told within this book, it's almost ultra realistic storytelling, because like I said, with something like Red Rising, it is jumping from one main event to the next. It's just go, go, go. What's the next major event? You know, what is going to happen to these characters, blah, blah, blah. And this book is only over the course of like 2 or 3 days within the storyline of the characters. But beyond the main storyline surrounding the main character, you know, he ends up murdering somebody, and it's from his perspective, like how he is changing over time after he commits murder, something that he probably didn't need to do, but there was, you know, a series of events that kind of pushed him to make this decision. And we see the after effects across like 400 pages of how he changes over time, and how the people around him try to help him, and how he acts around everyone, how he changes as a person, how he pushes everyone away. It's extremely deep. It's extremely slow. You definitely, the juice is worth the squeeze, I guess you could say, which is kind of cheesy, but you really get as much. I guess the character arcs are extremely deep. The point I really want to drive home about this book is that it's ultra realistic, like I said, in the sense that it's not jumping from point to point. It's not focusing on the major events. It's not trying to keep you hooked. It is only focused on driving the point home that this is a completely normal guy that was driven kind of insane by his environment, by the people around him, by a series of numerous events that have occurred beforehand, before and after, really. Because there's so many like side plots that are happening. Like, I feel like 80% of the book isn't even about like him murdering the person that he killed, that like the main idea of the story. 80% of it isn't even about that. It's about numerous other things that's going on in the background that push the main character to change over time. And I think that's what would turn most people away. Like, I think the amount of times I've wanted to put this book down and just be done with it, I'm like, I am gaining absolutely nothing from this. What is the point of me reading this? But it's just the way that the main character, and I'm not going to try to pronounce his name because they're all Russian names, and I'll just embarrass myself trying to pronunciate it. But what really hooked me to this book in the end was, seeing the actual major event happen, him murdering this person, and seeing the people around him try to cater to him and help him, and they're seeing the changes to his mental and psychological state over time, after this happens. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. Just the way that he changes over time is just, I've become so appreciative of it. And because of this, I would encourage so many people to read these books. I want to read more Dostoevsky in the future. I've heard his book, Notes from Underground, is very good too. But yeah, I just wanted to mention the importance of this book, because it's not all about like, dangling the keys and trying to like get your attention constantly. Like, it definitely tests your patience. But in the end, it's very satisfying. It's an extreme reward. Like, you finish it and you're able to look back on, how much has happened across this entire book. It's an entire experience, watching the main character change and watch his relationships with everybody change. Because, you'll change your opinion on the main character. You'll think he's a complete piece of shit sometimes. Other times you'll think he's a great guy because he'll prioritize others over himself. He'll defend people. He takes time out of his day to protect others. But he's also a murderer. So there's so many like polarizing facets to this book that really make you question a lot of the story's elements. And it's very captivating, I would say. Yeah, I would encourage everyone to read this book. It teaches patience. It teaches delayed gratification, which is something we do not have in the big 2026. And yeah, like I said, seeing people complain about books like Red Rising, which is a fantastic book, like me moving from Crime and Punishment, you could call it a philosophical book, moving from that to something like Red Rising, it was insane. It was like whiplash, with just the change of pace, the tone, the characters, and everything. But they're both fantastic in their own unique ways. So I think in a lot of ways, people should try to humble themselves with a book like this. Yeah, that's really all I had to say. The next book I want to dig into later on, in terms of like philosophy and like classics, is The Count of Monte Cristo. And I'm pretty sure that book is like 1,000 pages, so that will be like, I'll become a whole new person after reading that. So, but yeah, this has been just a glaze fest for Crime and Punishment, but I kind of just wanted to review it and show the impact that's had on me. I'm only more motivated to read more books like this. And yeah, it's a great experience. Let me know your thoughts on this, and if you have read this book, what you think of it. But that's all for now.